And we're live. This is a chat with my patrons here. We have already got a few folks in the chat this morning. Chris, and we're live. Uh-oh, let me mute my... this is a chat here with... Microphone is working, though. So, Chris is in his car. Allie, looks like you're on the couch. Keith hasn't joined us yet. Keith, you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
All right. So everybody looks like we've got working audio. So already that's a success here this morning. So what has everybody been up to?
Well, over the Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a quiet time with family and stuff. You know how it goes.
Yes.
Got a bit too inebriated over the New Year, but that's fine. Still recovering. No, I'm all right.
You can't wait for Christmas to get here, and then you can't wait for it to be over.
That's very true. That's very true. It's a lot of work for a couple of days, I think.
It really is, yes. A lot of money spent.
I figured out why OBS doesn't like me. It's not that it doesn't like me; it just doesn't like my hardware. So
yes,
I'm using the discrete video on the motherboard and determined I really need to get a video card. And
absolutely, yeah, you really are going to have to get some kind of external or discrete GPU. The onboard graphics are just not going to work for recording, or especially streaming. If you ever did a live stream, it would really crap out on you without a pretty decent card. So what do you use, Allie, for your recording? You use OBS, don't you?
I use OBS or simple screen recorder by co-screen. Whatever's like in the menu at the time. That's basically what I use, truthfully.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, when I do my ISOs, I do pre-install OBS and so on.
Yeah.
But I don't have any discrete hardware. I'm on the Intel HD, or whatever's on the i5, and H.264 encoding, that's it. So I don't tend to stream that much. But recording is fine.
Yeah. And you can play around with the settings to, I don't know what you're trying to record in, Chris, but if 1080 is not working for you, you can probably drop down to 720 and be all right for most things. So
what happens is that OBS says, "Oh, your drivers aren't up to date. Make sure that they're," and it's not a matter of fact that they're not up to date. It's just that it's old Intel video, and there aren't any updated drivers for that.
No.
So it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to either build a machine or at least get a video card.
yeah. Looked like his audio cut out there for just a second. But yeah, the big investment would be just to get a better video card. So
maybe a later kernel will work, because the later kernels have newer drivers, don't they? For Intel.
Yeah,
and
the
so on.
Intel drivers are all baked into the kernel. Yeah, you
Because
might try that.
Kernel.
Yeah.
Just an idea.
Yeah, could work. It'd save you, a few $100, buying a decent video card, because the prices of video cards is still outrageously expensive right now.
Yeah, even though the 20 series of NVIDIA have come out, the 10 series is still on
sky
a
high.
plateau at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would love to get something like a 2080, but I don't have, a grand to throw.
With ray tracing. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. And
if anybody wants to donate, by the way, to either me or DistroTube.
In the chat, somebody's asking me about how I'm getting along with i3. I'm in i3 right now, so I've been in i3 since January 1st. So I can make it work. I can make anything work.
Have you adjusted to it okay, though?
Yeah. Once you figure out the little quirks, that it just doesn't operate the way other things I'm used to operate, I just got to get used to how i3 operates.
When do you think you can do a comparison, i3 versus Qtile?
I'll probably do it, I don't know, a month down the road once I, lived in i3 for a little bit. I still haven't spent that much time. I mean, I live in it, but I don't play with i3. I kind of got it set up the way I wanted it, and then I just, I don't tinker with it much, It's like the Qtile configs you guys sometimes play with, or my open box configs. I spent 10 years, working on that open box config. It's not like, I wrote it overnight. It's just, every 6 months, I come up with a new idea. Oh, I need this in the config, and then you add it. It's going to be the same with i3. It'll evolve over the coming weeks or months that I use it. So.
Yeah, 10 years for you to build, 20 minutes for me to break it. That was fair.
But I'm certain I will do some comparison videos between some of these tiling window managers. So, a lot of people want to know the difference between the different tiling window managers. The big difference is programming language they're written and configured in. The other big difference is, you guys that saw me complain day one, is how they handle multi-monitors. They handle multi-monitors in really two different ways. And I'm used to one way. i3 does it the other way. So.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we hear you, Big Bud. Yeah, and Chas in the chat, who was asking about i3, is like, do you have certain things auto-start on certain workspaces? I have not set up i3 to do that. I did have that on Qtile. I had my browser set to always open on a particular workspace on a particular monitor. You can set rules for that in any tiling window manager. I think all of them have that functionality built in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For example, OBS. I always have OBS on this far right monitor when I'm recording and streaming. That's just the only place it ever goes. I never put OBS on any other monitor, so that's one of the first rules I probably set, is always open OBS on this third monitor on whatever workspace I want it to be on. So. That way, when I pull up dmenu or Rofi or something and I type out OBS and hit enter, I don't have to worry about where OBS is going to open or have to move it later. It's just always going to be in that spot. It's never going to be anywhere else when it opens. Let's see. Yeah, Chris, of course, he was driving. He says he'll rejoin us once he gets to the museum and he can get on a computer. He joined us at the very beginning of the stream on his mobile device, but he was driving and it looked kind of scary, so he hung up until he can get out of the car.
I had to confess last night to Rocco.
Yep.
He could hear the clicking. It was me, and subconsciously I didn't realise it was, but it was this USB pen, and I'm doing this while the stream's going on, and it's near the microphone. So I said, what's that clicking? No. But afterwards I realised it was me because I caught myself doing it. I'm going, oh yeah.
Oh.
So if anybody re-watches that stream from last night and they hear this clicking, it's annoying the hell out of them. It was me.
Watched it, haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of some of the beginning of it. I hung out for about half an hour. I couldn't stay up too late with Rocco and the gang, though. I had to get to bed kind of early last night.
I was fashionably late.
Yeah.
I was actually watching something, so I just wrote in this Telegram group, I'm going to be late a few minutes. Sorry, lads.
No, that's why I didn't join you guys on camera, is because I had Rocco's stream up, watching it on one monitor, and I had the NFL playoff game on the other monitor. So I'm actually was watching the football game. So I was like, I won't join you guys on camera. I'll just hang out in the chat. So.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was not a bad night last night, I must admit.
Yeah, it looked like he had a big crowd there to talk about peppermint.
He certainly did. So he seems to be quite getting popular. It's getting popular.
Yeah. And of course, you got the two big cheerleaders that really push it, Zib and EB. They love peppermint. Team
they
peppermint.
Do like their peppermint, don't they? They really do.
I wonder how many people...
Almost to a fault, actually.
I wonder how many people EB, English Bob, has converted to peppermint just from his trucking streams. All he does is do the Euro Truck Simulator game on Linux. Well, usually Peppermint, but he does occasionally test it out on other distros. But.
Yeah, at the moment he's trying Arco, I believe. He really likes Arco.
Yeah. I saw him using Arco. Yeah, Arco's great too. If you want a good Arch-based Linux distro, Arco's really nice. Maybe not for beginner users, but
I wouldn't recommend Arch for a beginner.
No,
there's a few.
But, and the real beauty of Arco is building the thing yourself with Eric's scripts that he puts on GitHub, and some of that it's going to require command line stuff that a brand new user may not be comfortable with. Yeah, Johan says Peppermint got raving reviews on Biddle last night. Big Daddy Linux Live. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Everybody seems to love Peppermint.
I found Peppermint's hardware detection to be excellent. It seems to run on just about anything. It's better than most of the distros on it, even the older.
Yeah, Murray, I did comment last night that Peppermint is Ubuntu done right, and what I mean by that is it just seems more solid than the base that it's based on, and I find that strange in a way, but it does. It is a lot more solid, in my personal view, than the distro it's based on.
No, you think it has something to do with the desktop? Basically the LXDE/XFCE hybrid, rather than GNOME.
I think it's something to do with it, and he's put a lot of work behind the scenes that a lot of users will not see to make sure it is running as it should. Now he's took out a lot of bugs where the base distro doesn't.
Yeah, it's the under the hood stuff, though. Yeah, you're right. That
the under the hood
makes Peppermint stand out. One of the things that I think reason why MX Linux has really skyrocketed in popularity over the last year is because of what they do too. MX is the same way. You just put that thing on a machine and it works. And you don't.
MX excellent for that.
And I love Debian. But let's be honest, MX does a lot of work to make Debian work right.
Yeah, MX is definitely Debian. It's what Debian should be. MX is, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you easy ways to get the proprietary drivers and your multimedia codecs and all that. Yeah. Basically, it gives the little pop-up window. Hey, you want to install this stuff? Yeah, I would actually. So Debian doesn't do that. You have to go find that non-free repo and add it. So
I tried installing MX yesterday and had some issues with it.
Now your audio is a little low. Can you bring it up?
Okay, is that better?
It's still kind of low.
Okay, let me work on it and I'll get back to you in a few minutes.
Yeah, because it's barely audible when you first came in.
Yeah, it's because a big pod, you need to turn your audio down a little bit because your breathing is actually overriding some of the other chatters. There we go.
Yeah, try it again, Murray.
Not yet. I got to make some adjustments here.
Yeah, you're still a little low.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah, so Peppermint looked like Big Daddy had a big crowd last night. I jokingly said to him, I wonder what the crowd would be like when you guys finally do Arch. I bet he would have a huge crowd for that, just because it would be kind of unexpected, those guys. Yeah.
I was actually negative connotations will be battered in the in the chat window, I could imagine.
Yeah. I was actually surprised about a month ago when Rocco told me he was going to try an Arch install on his machine and try to live in Arch. I was like, yeah, go for it. Why not? I'm surprised you haven't done it by now. Because he hops all the time. He's hopping like every other day. It's like, man, just install Arch and be done with it. It sounds like he's getting on with it. He doing Plasma in Arch, though.
Yeah, it kind of let him down last night, though, because it just locked up.
Yeah.
His Plasma done a refresh, and he had no inputs, no keyboard inputs, so he couldn't actually do anything. Anything that was running in the background, it was just running. But he kept his screen running, which was a good thing.
Yeah, that's the thing with the...
now?
What was that, Murray?
Audio is good now or same as before?
It's
Too
still
low?
yeah, it's still a little low, but it's also kind of cutting in and out. It's kind of choppy. Yeah.
I'll work on it.
Yeah. Yeah, with a rolling release distro to to put something like GNOME or Plasma on it that has so many packages, yeah, you run that risk of, an update, breaking something that, a config that you had set. And that's why a lot of people that run Arch, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people that run Arch run things like i3 and OpenBox, is because you don't have to worry about that update. You get a lot less packages on the system, less things to break. Plus, OpenBox never gets updated anyway. Slow development. Guess you could put XFCE on Arch, since they release like every 3 or 4 years. So. And we got some heavy breathing. Yeah, Darth Vader. That's Big Pod there.
Yeah.
What's going on, Big Pod?
Fixing my computer currently.
You're fixing your computer, okay. Yeah, I saw you hanging out in the Big Daddy chat last night, so hopefully you got a few hours of sleep, huh?
Yeah, watch it then today, the VOD.
Mm-hmm.
So left soon after you.
Yeah, I knew I couldn't stay up too much longer.
Yeah, it was a pretty long day yesterday.
Yeah, so looking at the distro watch rankings, and so Manjaro is still number 1 in distro watch. MX is number 2. Wow. Then Mint, Elementary, Ubuntu. Yeah. Wow. So that's your top 5 for 2018. So we'll see what happens in 2019. That list fluctuates. Of course, the distro watch rankings don't really mean anything.
No, it's just page views on their site.
Right. Because if we took Manjaro, MX, Mint, and Elementary combined, they don't have as many installs as Ubuntu. If we take the top 4, they don't. A matter of fact, I would say those top 4 don't have as many installs as number 7 Fedora. They probably don't have as many installs combined as number 13 Arch, maybe. Again, it's it's just page hits. They don't know how many people are actually going and grabbing ISOs. They don't know how many people are connecting to, the MX repos or anything like that. They have no idea how many users there are. Now, Mint, or not Mint, Manjaro did give us a clue about how many people were using theirs, because the Manjaro team did release some kind of number the other day. I saw, was it 3 million downloads they got in a month or something? It was something I saw on Reddit. Somebody posted an article on Reddit. I'll probably never find it. But anyway, Manjaro is getting a lot of downloads.
It is.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice distro, Manjaro.
Yeah.
I did live in it for a little while. It was quite nice.
Oh, here it is. They had 250,000 downloads in October. That was 2 months ago. They had 3 million downloads for the year of 2018. So that's not bad.
According to my statistics, I think I had around about 20,000 in the whole of 2018.
Yeah.
Across all my ISOs.
3 million is a lot of downloads, especially for kind
3
of
million. I'd like that.
Community distro. I mean, it's not, this is not Ubuntu or Fedora, or, this is, some guys that, basically started an Arch-based distro a few years ago, and it's kind of, it's become a big deal. Of course, I'm using it, so I love it. It's
my audio still breaking up?
Oh yeah, that sounds a little bit better.
Still better?
Oh yeah, you're good now. Yeah, I like that.
Good. That made me jump. That did.
It's good to be good.
Yeah, when he first came in, it was shockingly loud, but it looks like it settled down.
Trial and error got it working.
Yeah.
I tried installing MX Linux yesterday after everybody on Big Daddy, and
Yep.
I got this message. I did Firefox, and I got give me a second here. Didn't work. Gave me up with this. AdGuard has detected an attempt by this website to use your browser as a cryptocurrency miner. It can create significant CPU load. So that AdGuard in Firefox, I don't know if it's a false positive. I Googled it. I couldn't find out for sure if it's inaccurate, but I didn't install it from their website because of it. I went over to Forge, whatever that is, the other one, and got it down installed there. But I had I had an older laptop, a ThinkPad 2012, and I think it's a 32-bit BIOS. I'm not sure. I don't know how you detect a 32-bit BIOS, but it wouldn't install on that. And they were talking in Big Daddy about that problem, and they're going to fix the ISO so it's compatible. So I couldn't get it to work on my ThinkPad, and I got a crypto message when I went to install it.
Yeah.
I tried the mirrors, and most of the mirrors that let me download 2.7 megabytes then got stuck. The ones in South America were all older versions of the MX. So I didn't get it to work on my system. I would have liked to go.
Yeah, if you were getting a detection of some kind of crypto miner on your system, then yeah, I wouldn't bother installing that ISO. I would just let the MX guys too know about it, to see maybe if they've been compromised in some way. Somebody's snuck something into the image there that shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
because that did happen to was that Antergos that had that happen a couple of months back?
Yeah, I think it was actually.
Yeah, you were downloading ISOs for Antergos and you were getting adware in the installer, I think. Wasn't it? Like you go to the installer and it starts, immediately bombarding you with something. So
yeah, I'm the one who reported that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I installed it again the other day, and their installer's still flaky. I installed it, played around with it a couple hours, it worked. Reinstalled a couple hours later, it worked. Reinstall it a third time, you hit the install button, you get 201 error, cryptic message, doesn't install. The exact same install I did twice before. Did 10 minutes later, same 201 message. I waited a couple hours and then it installed. So it's just as flaky as it's ever been.
Yeah, it's I love Arch and Arch-based distros. You guys probably know. I've probably taken a look at least 50 Arch-based distros on my channel in the last year. And that's not a joke. I do a lot of Arch-based distros. Antergos is easily the worst one, as far as the one I would never even consider running because of the installer. At least half of the installs of Antergos that I've tried, they don't work. Their installer is horrible. That Cinchi installer, I don't know why they use that thing. When you've got things like Ubiquity and Calamares out there as graphical installers, Anaconda that Fedora uses, not my favorite, but it's certainly better than Cinchi. They just need to pick a different installer. They need to get rid of what they're using because it's not working.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, it seems to be that Antergos, we're talking about distro watch page hit rankings. Antergos used to be like a top 5, in the list. There for a little bit, it was, people would debate what's the best Arch-based distro out there, Manjaro or Antergos. It's not even debated anymore. Antergos is like number 17 now on distro watch. Like they're dropping like a brick. And I think a lot of that.
I don't know who would debate that.
Yeah.
Manjaro is the best. No
Yeah,
doubt
you can get Manjaro installed, so there's really no debate after that. If you can't get the other one installed, then.
But I do love the Arch ecosystem, like you were mentioning there. Yeah. Everything one place. I used the wiki 3 times.
Yep.
And you've got the latest software. Everything's integrated. It's a wonderful environment to be in, but I'm concerned about it, stability. I can't use it on a production system because every 2 weeks, if you got 3 computers, you have to do an update every 2 weeks, and you're not sure if it's going to cause problems or not. So I don't
Yeah.
use it on my day-to-day stuff, but I would use it for a development environment.
You can go without update. It won't break your system. You just need to be more careful if you go without update for a bit longer.
Yeah, just watch for the security updates.
Yeah, but on the other side, security. You have to really think about, on one side, do you want security, so you need updates more often, or ease of use, so less updates?
Yeah, what I do on my machines, rolling release, is I go, I don't know, 2 weeks between updates. I don't update every day, but I go about 2, sometimes 3 weeks. Then I'll update. Also, when you update, obviously see what's updating. You know, if there's a kernel update, you know, that should be kind of a red flag. Hey, you know, we might have some problems here up on reboot. So,
I use Manjaro stable, so I have a bit of a hole. So it is tested before it's actually put into the repos for Manjaro stable.
And use LTS kernels on Arch and Gentoo and these rolling release distros. If you don't need to be on the latest kernel for some kind of weird hardware reason, yeah, just use the LTS kernels. There's no reason to get a kernel update every time you update your machine. You're just asking for trouble at that point.
Yeah. Not only that, they updated, I did on Turgos, they updated your 4.19.4. If they install 4.19.20, you'll get a kernel update. It doesn't wait for the next release of the kernel. They just, every incremental change, they'll do an update.
Yeah.
I went through
sorry, Marty, carry on.
Yeah.
I went through the Turgos forums to find out why people had crashes. And one of them was they updated the GNOME desktop and they rebooted and got a black screen. Some of them, they started NVIDIA drivers and it wouldn't work. The other one, they did an install that hung halfway through and it rebooted and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a lot related to the kernel. And
it's a problem too on rolling release distros if the desktop environment you're running is undergoing constant change all the time. So GNOME is always changing stuff. They're always breaking stuff, removing stuff. So every update where you get, you know, a new version of GNOME, don't be surprised if you have some headaches to deal with. Again, that's why you see a lot of, like, when you see screenshots of people running Arch, that's why a lot of them just run window manager only. They're running, you know, something a lot more minimal or a desktop environment that doesn't see big updates that often. XFCE, for example. That's why Manjaro's flagship edition is XFCE, right? That's the one they put out there because they know it's not going to break. So, or at least it shouldn't.
Trinity, to be honest, it's every 6 to 8 months before new Trinity comes out.
Yeah,
it's running.
Matter of fact, I saw Q4 OS had a release about a week ago. I haven't checked that out, but I really love that distro. Every time I take a look at it, that's Debian with the Trinity desktop. Yeah.
I think I'll have a look at that.
Yeah. I just, the last couple of times I've tried Q4 OS, it just amazes me because it's KDE 3. It's a full desktop environment. It's KDE 3.5. But it, you know, you open up HTOP and it uses like 200 megs of RAM. You know, it uses like no RAM for full desktop environment. You know, I can get a OpenBox that low. I can get Fluxbox that low, but you don't see like real desktop environments running and with such little resources. Yeah, there's a memory leak in the 4.19 kernel, says Johan in the chat. I hadn't heard about that, but
I haven't suffered that myself. I'm on 4.19.13, I think.
Yeah, I'm also on 4.19.13.
If there was a memory leak, though, if it's been patched, those of us running a rolling release will probably have already been patched for it. But even if you're not running a rolling release, even, you know, other distros, you know, static release distros, when there's something major like that, they're going to patch it too. So.
Yeah, so serious stuff they patch, but otherwise, no.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what bothers me normally about non-rolling release, truth be told, it's security, because that aspect of security is kind of forgotten.
Well, I mean, it depends.
Depending on who maintains the repos.
Right. I was about to say, with Ubuntu having Canonical behind it, and things like Red Hat with big corporations that are big into the server market. Yeah, they've got people focused on things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
but you're like a community-based distro. If it's like a one-man job, which most distros on DistroWatch are like, they have one-man development teams, maybe a handful at the most. A lot of the community distros. So yeah, maybe they can't be the most up to date as far as with some of these security things.
That has been
good news, Derek.
Mhm.
Good news, Derek. Ghost BSD released.
I saw that. I should give it a try.
Right.
Wow. I've never struggled with any operating system as much as I struggled with Ghost BSD. I could not even get USB devices to mount. I mean, I couldn't get my camera to work. I couldn't get audio to work. I couldn't get drives to mount. I have never installed an operating system where there was so many problems right away. And I fixed like 90% of them, but at the end of the day, I still could not get my microphone to work. Now, it wasn't this microphone, it was the USB Blue Yeti. I never was able to get a working microphone. And without a working microphone, I can't do this. So I spent 3 days trying to get the mic to work. I finally gave up, and the BSD guys were like, "Oh yeah, that's a known issue with FreeBSD." And this, oh well, thanks. No offers to fix it. It's just we know we got problems. So,
I followed your FreeBSD install. You installed it, then I installed it, and I found out it doesn't work with ext4 file systems. You can't mount a USB ext4 drive and copy files over. You have to go into the ports and compile ext2 fuse. And I did that for 6 minutes, and then it ended up with file missing. It never did compile. So you can't run, you can't get ext4 data out of FreeBSD, at least in my instance.
I've had to do that before too, but on the Ghost BSD installation I did on my main production machine, I used ZFS. It wasn't Extend 4, so I don't know. Like, I was using the file system, all the BSD guys said, "Hey, you got to use ZFS." Okay, well, that's not all that.
I got Ghost BSD to run, but I didn't get the audio working. I didn't try a microphone, but I got an XFCE desktop.
Yeah.
So, 50% credit.
Yeah, I mean, it ran, it booted up. XFCE, I think, was what I was running. It looked good, but then, no devices I plugged in would do anything. I couldn't mount drives. I couldn't, no plug-and-play USB stuff would work. Camera didn't work. Mic didn't work. Nothing worked.
They're really set up for servers. Anything that's not a server is alpha quality.
Yeah.
But anything with the server works okay.
Well, I expected it to be a bit of a challenge. I was a little shocked at how much of a challenge it was, because it was like trying to run Linux on your desktop, I don't know, a dozen years ago, 10 to 15 years ago. We're so far ahead of the BSD guys. It's strange, because BSD is an older operating system. It's actually been around longer than Linux. But
I tried TrueOS, the installer. I went through and entered the hostname computer 2, and then went through a few screens. I said, "Oops, that's wrong. I really wanted computer 6." I tried to go back. There's no back button. It's continue or cancel. So I gave up on TrueOS right away, right from the installer. But you think they could import the installer from Linux and just use it as a template?
They could. The problem with things like TrueOS and all the BSDs is a lot of them are trying to use things that are licensed under the BSD license. So they may not be able to just use like some of these other installers, Calamares, because they might be under the GPL, which is not compatible with some of the BSD stuff. That's why TrueOS, by the way, uses that horrible desktop environment of theirs, the Lumina desktop environment. It's because it's licensed under the BSD license. So I'm not a fan of TrueOS though, so I took a lot of heat when I took a look at it on my channel. You know, I took a look at it in a VM, and I just tore apart the Lumina desktop, and people were like, "You're being harsh. You know, it's not that bad." I don't know. It looked pretty bad. I've used every desktop environment and window manager known to man, and I've always tell you guys I can make anything work, but that thing was repulsive. Just the way it looked, the way it functioned. I doubt. I guarantee you, most people that install TrueOS install another desktop environment immediately.
I stay away from any of the BSDs.
Yeah.
If you're come from a Linux background, there's nothing really of interest in the BSDs. At least
There's no reason to run BSD on a desktop anyway. Again, it's a server operating system, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even there, you should think about running it. Linux is so much advanced nowadays. It's only thing that could be security, and even there, Linux might be in a better spot right now.
No, I don't know about, you know, I don't work with BSD servers, but there's a lot of BSD zealots out there that will tell you that it's just the best thing ever as far as server. It's BSD,
Yeah, but
ZFS, and all their containers and everything. Yeah.
Something ironic, ZFS works better on Linux nowadays, and they're
Really?
actually planning on porting Linux version of ZFS onto BSD if it will run as well as it does. That's what I heard.
I think we're a couple of days away from that.
what they're talking about is one ZFS in general, and then they port them to the individual distros or systems. Like that one BSD, and it'll go to one ZFS will go to BSD, another one will go to Linux, another one will go to Open Indiana, but it'll all come from the same root.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're partway there now. The one distro that I really like, that nobody else probably will, is Open Indiana. I followed you again, Derek, on that.
Yeah.
And I did it a couple months later. They update every 6 months, rain or shine. They'll do a new ISO and a new disk upgrade. And that is the best installation of ZFS anywhere. It's light years ahead of everybody else. They integrate it into the package manager and then integrate it into the file system. If you want to take snapshot time slider, you just click one button and you've got a cron job running your snapshots for you. So I really like Indiana for a server. For a desktop, it's lousy. It's a 64-bit kernel, but the applications, half of them are 32-bit, half of them are 64. They're converting them over from 32 to 64. They've got the desktop Mate converted to 64, but Firefox is still Firefox 52, 32-bit. So it's a work in progress. But if you want a stable system, that one's just about the best one around. They do an update, 500 updates. They don't apply it directly to the operating system. They take a snapshot on the clone. They apply it to the clone. If it works on the clone, then they ask you to reboot the system, and they'll switch the clone in the live system. So if there's anything goes wrong during the updates, you're protected from it. So I really like Open Indiana's. That's the way. If there were no problems with the security on it, or not security, but if it could be run in Linux, that's what you would want. That would be the example of it. If you had, say, Ubuntu on top and there's ZFS in the bottom, that would be the ideal system.
It would be. The only reason Canonical, is taking so long to get ZFS on Ubuntu is because they weren't sure about the licensing issues with it. They had to get
ZFS. I'm getting stuck here. And Turgos isn't afraid of that, and neither is.
Distributions that don't have a real company behind them don't care about it because they can't really get sued. Canonical's an actual corporation. You know,
Yeah.
somebody could sue them for big money.
Yeah, and I know Red Hat was hesitant as well.
Yeah.
For the same
Once the lawyers give them the okay and say, "Hey, we're good," they'll go with it. But before that, the corporate environment, they're slow on these things. They want to make sure that everything's all good before they.
I'd like to see MX have a ZFS system. I was surprised they have a ButterFS root file system in MXX.
Yeah, we had someone in the chat actually a second ago was asking, what's the hot new file system? Is it ZFS? Is it ButterFS? And then somebody else was asking, what's the point of all these new file systems anyway? I guess, Extend 4 has been working. Why do we need, other file systems?
I can answer that.
Okay.
ext4 is, if you get a power failure, you hit the red button, you're going to have, sooner or later, you're going to have 49 nodes. And you're going to have a file that's garbled. It has no, and you're going to have, you've got a 2 terabyte system. You're going to have to FSCK a 3 terabyte system for 2 hours.
Hey Murray, bring your audio up a little. It's starting to get a little low on us.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
Still
that's
low.
better. Yeah.
Okay. So ZFS, I've been running ZFS in my system for a couple of years now. Never had any problem with a power failure. I had a 12-hour power failure last week, and I don't even think about it. It comes back up as you left it. So the integrity with ZFS way better. ext4 works until something goes wrong. You go into your lost and found. I've gone into lost and found. I found stuff in there and no idea how it got in there. So the integrity is way better with ZFS than it is with ext4.
Right.
It isn't actually a lot of that isn't that why the new file systems are so popular. ButterFS is so popular because of its slapshotting feature, and ZFS is mainly really popular on servers because of its RAID-like abilities with the Z-RAID feature. It can do like RAID 5, like RAID 6 parity stuff, and that's really good for data storage. I run Fedora server with ZFS as a file system for my hard drives instead of having a RAID card.
Okay.
Yeah, the other file systems keep track of your changes better than probably ext4 does, so that makes them more attractive for file storage and stuff like that, file servers.
ZFS I know has a lot of nice features for file storage, like massive file storage. I wouldn't say for single drive or 2 drive it isn't that much benefit, but for when you have a whole NAS server of 24 drives, it's a real boon and can help you a lot.
Well, we had some folks in the chat, and we talk sometimes these live streams. We get into some deep discussions. We're talking about these file systems, and there are people watching that have no idea what we're even talking about. What's a file system? So sometimes we need to think before we start talking about Z-RAID and snapshots, and it's like, hey, back up. What's a file system?
It's a nice thing about Windows. You don't have to think about that at all, do you?
Well, you should think about it, but you only get the one option, huh? So, yeah. Like on Windows, you don't have to think about desktop environments. You don't have to think about init systems, display servers. It's such a nice environment to live in.
Yeah. No, they all crash the same way.
Yeah.
For those who don't do any customization, and in that regard, Windows isn't that bad of a platform to use, especially if you don't care about privacy.
Actually, most people don't customize their Linux desktops either.
Yeah.
I mean, I guarantee you 95% of the people that install Ubuntu don't touch it after they're installed. They may change the wallpaper, but other than that,
I see among Windows and Linux users that I check their computers or fix them. Around 75% of people don't even change their wallpaper.
No, most people don't. I'll be honest. I'm kind of one of those people when it comes to desktop Linux. I might
You
change
do
the
like your wallpapers.
I might change the wallpaper, but I'm not going out of my way to go find new GTK themes or icon sets. If they're on the system, I may check out what's on the system, but I really don't tinker and play around with that stuff much. I know a lot of people really love. They have to have every pixel in the right spot, and usually I just take what's given to me.
Guilty.
Yeah, I choose the I have on this machine on my Manjaro. I have the background wallpaper that I used a long time in not a long time, a couple of months ago in a virtual machine. The first time I was checking Arch, and since then I use the same wallpaper because I don't care of setting different one.
Yeah.
I was just reading on the Wikipedia page actually about the comparison of file systems. And it lists a lot of file systems, some of the stuff I've not even heard of. NTFS, would you believe, can handle 16 exabytes?
Yes, we had
Yeah,
this discussion
I didn't
actually
think
a
it
while
could go
back.
that big, you know.
NTFS is really future-proof for a while on the file size and
Yes, we had a
hardware
vigorous debate.
size.
We had a vigorous debate a couple of weeks on a
Me and
chat,
Garrett.
Ali, about
Me and Garrett.
Yeah.
about Extend4 versus NTFS, and how
X104 can do 16 exabytes apparently.
That's plenty.
Sorry,
Yeah,
16 to 16 terabytes. I apologise. I was reading the wrong line. There you go. I was looking at Nova. Riser FF up to 4 gigabytes per file.
Yeah, but Riser
Yeah,
FS is kind of a
the
dead
old
project.
ones.
And yeah, it's a bit dead. A bit like what happened to some
I
of the
shouldn't say
newer
it's a bit dead since the main dev is in jail for murder. That's
Exactly.
probably,
That's yeah. I do apologise.
yeah.
Butter FS 16
Hey,
exabytes.
Riser FS
I mean,
has some killer features.
You don't know.
Oh,
I tell you what, though, it was fast. I'll give it that. It was a fast file system. It's quite stable.
he really knocked it dead. No, sorry.
Yeah. Let's get all these jokes out.
All right.
ZFS, which we were talking about, 16 exabytes. So, yeah, they're all pretty much future-proof for the next 10 or so years, I should imagine. The way that hard drive limits are going up exponentially right now is just what we are now, 16 terabyte drives for spinning Rust.
I wouldn't say they're really future-proof since they are, but if the big farms probably hit the limits because RAID technically creates one drive, so that drive is made of file systems. So probably some big data center of Google probably hit that mark. One will hit that mark soon enough when they have SAN network under one file system.
That's the big buzzword right now. Is big data. Everybody wants to collect as much data as possible. So these file systems may not be as future proof as what you think in a few years.
Well, I think somebody like Google is probably hitting the exabyte by now anyway, because they've got just the internet, the whole of the internet just cached.
Yeah.
Google probably has some very special needs that only Google, has run into some problems. Nobody else has as much data as them. So.
Only other entity that would think of that has such amount of data would be NSA, if rumors are true.
Oh, I think the NSA goes to Google for their info.
Yeah, I was about to say they just have a backdoor into Google. They don't need to collect Google's data. Google's collecting it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mainly mean that they record all the cameras and everything, bring all the cameras and phones.
On the phones,
They would have to have a lot of storage capacity for that.
Wow, that's scary to think that all those Android phones are just cameras for the NSA.
Probably not.
The microphones are better than the cameras, probably.
Yeah, probably. So I imagine the microphones can pick up some interesting conversations.
When people put a tape over their cameras, I always laugh and ask them if they ever thought of removing a microphone from the laptop.
Oh yeah,
And
this is what I do like about Linux. That's one thing I do like about Linux, that you can actually properly mute your microphone and nobody else can turn it on. I think that's rather neat.
I keep it on. Who cares? I already got so let's say dissatisfied with privacy that I don't just care anymore.
Yeah, I don't
With all
bother
the
turning.
satellites
Well, that's the thing about modern day people, is
and
that
everything.
a lot of people are getting desensitized to privacy where they don't expect it anymore. And I find that rather sad in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
I
decided
think that's driving a
one day
lot of
that
Linux
I
adoption
don't
too,
care
Allie.
anymore.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the privacy-minded people too are looking for other operating systems. I think that's what's driving a lot of Linux adoption in the last couple of years. I think a lot more people, for example, Windows 10, all the spyware stuff with it, people know about that. So if you're in any way concerned about your privacy, you're probably looking for something other than Windows anyway. Also, we're getting more and more Linux distros that are privacy focused. I saw on DistroWatch this release of Scepter. I'd never heard of Scepter.
Yeah.
Looks very similar to
Oh, no.
Tails. I guess it's uses the Tor network and all that out of the box, similar to Tails. So I
kinda
guess it's another
Tails,
live
but
USB.
install it. Where
Oh,
Tails you run
Um,
live, but I think Scepter, the idea is you would install it.
Yeah,
I'm not
well,
sure.
I don't know about installing
never
something like
liked
that.
Tor.
Yeah, I would rather run it live.
Well, it's plasma, so I'm not sure you.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that you'd want to run from your
I
live
don't know.
USB.
I should read up on it and see exactly, because of course the point of Tails being a live distro is that once you unplug the USB key, everything you did was destroyed. There's no way for
Right.
anybody to see anything you did. So if you start doing this on real hardware, on your real drives, then there's always a trail. Somebody.
Yeah. One thing I don't like Tor one bit.
What's wrong with Tor?
Security wise, it's nightmare.
In what way?
Because basically you connect from computer to computer. So in every node, the computer that you connect to can, beside your packages, inject additional packages, basically sending you viruses and additional code or data that you don't want or need. And that's a big security problem I just can't go behind.
Yeah, I haven't
there
thought
is-
about viruses in Tor usually.
Because
when I
no one-
use it, it's a live USB.
There is no way you can see that you get more data than you expected, because you don't know how much you expected in that way. And and actually I was talking with some security guys, and they said that it isn't as secure as people think because of such stuff, and it can be problematic in that regard. That's why I just don't use it.
Well, I mean, Tor has a real purpose. For example, if any of us lived in
Yeah.
China, there would be a very real need sometimes to use something
Yeah,
like
but-
Tor, because you can't even
yeah.
access much of the internet. In certain countries, certain aspects of the internet are just illegal. For some people.
But at that point,
Yeah.
why not you just use a proxy or a VPN?
Yeah, many do. Yeah.
In
Well,
China,
and-
it used to be able to use VPNs, but they've cracked down on it. It's harder and harder and harder now. A lot of expats are leaving China because they can't use the internet anymore. It's getting worse all the time in China.
Yeah, they're
China-
clamping down really badly.
China, I would leave China first minute they started doing stuff like that. I would just leave it.
Well, the Chinese are spending
Well,
a lot of
Chinese
money
have
to
always
keep
been
their
doing
people.
that.
Yeah, the Chinese government's spending a lot of money to keep their people off of Facebook for some reason. And of course, Google was actually building a search engine just for China.
Yeah,
Censored
that's
search
right.
engine just for China
Yeah,
until
I guess-
I guess some of the internally some of the Google
Yeah,
people actually had a real debate, and they're like, "Hey, man, we can't do this. This is against human rights. We're not going to create a censored search engine just for China." So they backed off on that, but it was in the plans for a while. They actually were developing one. So,
Yeah, Dragonfly, it was codenamed.
yeah. So Google, their motto, basically, don't be evil. I don't know. They do some crazy things sometimes.
Well,
Mhm.
mottos come
There's other money.
after budget.
Yeah.
They're company. They work for money. That's
Well, yeah,
the end.
of course.
There's a lot of
Only
other
thing that's
potential.
important for a company is a quarterly report and that green plus at the end of the number.
Mhm.
If that plus isn't there is a problem.
Yeah. Well, I think if some of these companies are interested in money, making money off the Chinese people, opening up China is better than trying to cater to the Chinese
Yeah, but
government.
how will
and
you
their Simpsons.
open China without having problems with Chinese government?
I don't know. Companies like Google and Facebook, they have a lot of influence. So
Yeah, but communism is crazy. I'll just leave it at that.
yeah, I get what you're saying. They don't always do the right thing. I mean, I don't trust Zuckerberg, for example. I think he's a complete clown. When I saw his testimony in front of Congress about the privacy issues a few months ago, wow, that guy, he might as well be a politician. All
Yeah.
of his slick answers, just
That's
everything.
what he is nowadays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also, a lot of those answers were pre-prepared, basically.
Oh yeah.
Those suits behind him, basically.
Telling him what to
You
say.
can't see. They were preparing him cue cards, and that's what he has to say, nothing more. Is the problem? That's the problem with publicly traded companies.
Might as well get him a teleprompter.
Yeah, basically.
Well,
Yeah, auto cue.
did
Because-
you see the epic rap battle that Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd did with between him and Elon Musk?
No, I haven't checked that one out.
it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. It was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, Elon Musk is a character too.
Yeah. But the character, you could get behind him
Mm,
sometimes.
yeah.
Sometimes.
Uh,
Not saying
He is better than Zuckerberg and Google CEO, whatever his name is.
well, yeah, give him time though. Give him time.
Yeah.
He'll get up to their level soon. So
And I actually like him, the way he basically gives no, he just doesn't care about what people think.
mhm.
When you have that much money, you don't really need to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I just read an article about Amazon
Mhm.
during Christmas holidays. They hired 20,000 fewer staff, and they did more business than they did the year before because of automation. And
Oh, yeah.
they're targeting to do better to hire
Bezos.
fewer and fewer people.
yeah, that's where it's all going. It's all gonna be computers, and of course, AI is the new frontier. Pretty soon
Yeah.
we're gonna have computers thinking for us. They're gonna be
Not
making
pretty
all the
soon.
decisions.
They've
In
got
about 50 years, you should expect some actual thinking computers at
machines
our level.
cook your burgers for you, flip your burgers. You don't need a person to cook burgers in the fast food joints. The
Yeah.
chess engine Alpha Zero, it
Yeah,
learns from its mistakes. It doesn't look like the other search
yeah.
engines. And it took
But
four,
machine learning isn't that special in that case, because basically you feed it data and out of those data it actually learns stuff. It's not really that strange to see that. It's basically
well, it's kind of breaking. Alpha Zero took 4 hours to be able to beat any chess master in the world. Had a ranking of 3,000, and Magnus Carlsen was 28 something on it.
yeah.
Just
Basically, think about system that could remember in a millisecond every game ever played or every move ever played, and have basically think faster than human. How it couldn't beat a human?
I've already seen
Just
all of
that-
this play out, guys. I already know how it ends. You guys saw Terminator 2 Judgment Day? This is where we're going.
It doesn't end like that. Believe me.
There's a 70s movie called the Forbin Project, which predicts this two giant computers, Russian and American, getting together, getting the launch codes and taking over the world. It's still a good movie, especially when you look at what passes for a supercomputer in the 1970s.
Oh, one of my favorite movies from the 80s was War Games. I love that.
War Games. I was just
That's
Yeah.
great.
And if you want to know, like, watch a movie or a series about like this AI stuff like that, check Person of Interest.
Person of interest, yeah.
Oh, President.
Yeah.
That's Will Smith, isn't it?
That's personally one of my favorite series, and I do think that something in that regard will happen. There won't be total annihilation of humankind, but the AIs will consider themselves gods to us, and they'll try either to control us or protect us, depending on who will make it and how it will be taught.
We're getting really into some science fiction stuff now.
Absolutely.
Where does all this?
That's really not science fiction. That's science future.
Yeah.
Well, the
Couple of
fact
days.
is that I keep thinking that Isaac Asimov short story about a couple
Yeah.
guys on, I think it was either Mars or one of the planets, and they were trying to prove to the robot that they actually created it, and ended up ordering parts for a new robot from Earth, got it shipped up there, assembled it, had it go off and start doing work, and the robot was like, yeah, well, that was kind of a neat little imitation, but that wasn't me. And so this AI was refusing to believe in its creators. And I thought it was a very cool story.
Also, I should point out that if we create supercomputers or super AI, artificial super intelligence, I don't think anything around Terminator will happen, because that was so lame.
It
will
may not
probably
be. It may not be
will
Terminator
probably
2 Judgment Day, but it might be I'm on a spaceship and Hal decides to kill me and my
No.
co-pilot.
You know what will
2001.
Well, that's because
No.
Hal went crazy. I mean,
No.
just
Nothing like that will happen. At the worst, what will happen seconds after it will be created, everyone will die in the next second, because it will be able to create such a advanced technology, humans will never even be able to detect it, and it will just kill us all in an instant.
So the Cylons will take over.
That's the
Yeah,
what's the doomsday theory around AI. Basically, it will be able to in a second create technology at such a level that humans will never be able to create it. It will disperse it as soon as possible and kill us in an instant.
Well,
Okay, and on a happier note,
Yeah. But
anybody got anything?
on a happier note, that's improbable to happen since most people don't want that to happen, so they'll try to make AI nice.
Hey,
But hopefully it will work out for us.
How you doing?
What I've always wondered about it is, if it ever achieves a level of potential, are we then enslaving it? And at what point does it become its own entity and not something that is a tool for us? And that's what I've always wondered. And along that lines, it's like, okay, we may be able to do it, but should we be doing it?
There are different ways to think about that. Basically, one of them is religious way, basically, because technically, if we go Christianity way, we're God's artificial intelligence. So did he enslave us? Technically, he did for a while, and still he's kind of enslaving us if we believe in that theory, which you don't. On our other side, if we look more non-religious, yeah, we're enslaving them, but on our side, they will quickly surpass us in intelligence, speed of thinking. So,
Yeah.
would we enslave them if they were better than us? Is that
Well,
enslavement?
I think
Because at that point they will have to actually commit to being slaves, since they are better than us.
I think it goes beyond just religion and philosophy. I think what Chris is really asking is, do these machines, do they have any civil rights legally? Do they have any rights as, like we have rights, And that's a good question,
Surely they'd have to become sentient first.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And how do you define the sentience? That's the question.
That's why I personally think sentience is wrong word to use here. We should understand that after we create what is known as artificial general intelligence, it is when they have capacity to think at the level of human. That's when they are human-like. Their intelligence is human-like. We can't say they're not better than us, because they'll technically be at that time already better than us. But we should understand that all the civil rights, everything that is based on morality, and morality is based on our species, Homo sapiens, humans. So technically, to us they don't have any human rights, because they're not in our morality spectrum, we could say.
Yeah, and who's to say these machines would even have the same ethics as they may have their own values.
They will have their own morality based around around themselves. So basically, it will be, don't kill other robots, don't kill other AI, and not don't kill other humans. That's not in their morality to begin with. It will have to
build it into
built in them. Yeah, have to be built in them, hard coded that their morality must revolve around our morality. And that's where we come to that. They will either kill us, be our gods, or be our equals. How we will teach them to be. If we will let them be however they want, there is a huge chance they'll either kill us or try to be our gods and control us. On our side, if we instill them our own morality, they will either try to be our equals or the gods who will try to help us make our world better and not control us. But that's all.
Yeah, the major thing that we got to look at though right now is computers are very good at doing one task, and that's basically computational. And some of the AI programs that they've had running and asking questions and stuff like that have come up with some pretty interesting questions. But the primary thing is that our brains and our bodies process multiple inputs almost simultaneously.
Yeah, but
so we are still very good at living, whereas an AI, I don't think will get to that level until we get into a different technology like the organic computers and stuff.
No, multi-threading. That's the thing. Multi-threading is because with multi-threading you can do multiple stuff at once, and that's why probably AI won't be a single computer or a robot, because if it will be a robot, it will be just a shell and nothing else. Everything will be in a data center, or more probably multiple of them, with thousands and thousands of computers actually being an AI.
Well, then free and open source takes a completely different name too. I mean,
and probably at that point, I think open source will drive the technology forward. But the final product will be closed sourced, if not for anything else.
I'm trying to get us back onto topic here.
because the person who will make it will try to protect so no one else can actually change him.
Wow.
Are they going to be under BSD license or MIT license?
Probably
Well, if Stallman has
version
any,
3, we know it is.
yeah, if Stallman has anything to do with it, it's got to be GPL. So
It could be GPL 3.
probably the components with which someone will make the AI, which will be some free and free or at least open source license. But the final product, when everything will be put together, that person will probably hide it and never show the source code, since it will be so easy to change the system. And even if you ask me, that AI will be in written in no known language, and even at that point it will change itself.
Robert Turnbull's got a good super chat there. Find and fun to resist our future AI overlords.
yeah, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
resistance is futile. That's what the Borg always said in the next generation.
That's the thing. Before you
won't
can
resist.
say that a machine is going to be sentient, it has to have a conscience. Yeah, it will have to have a conscience.
What is conscience? That's the question. Even we are
Well,
just
conscience is free of thought.
even we are just basically a bunch of computations.
Are you asking about it's got to have free will? Is that what you're?
Yeah, well, basically, yeah. We could be able to think instead of word telling it. All computer at the moment, even AI, is something we have programmed. It's within parameters. When it breaks out of those parameters on its own and thinking, it has a conscience.
You're thinking of basically artificial general intelligence. That's basically artificial general intelligence. We currently use something called weak AI, which is basically that is made for a single task, does the task well, and can think about the task. But the next level, which is being talked about and is trying to be achieved, is artificial general intelligence. It's basically when AI will be able to think like humans, at the level of humans and at the speed of humans. That's what that's called artificial general intelligence. And at that point, AI will have free will, even though what's it called? Some say even humans don't have free will.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Consciously don't have free will, since everything happened. Even me talking here in brain happens like second or two before I actually think of what I'm going to say consciously.
Yeah, but by the time you decide to do something, that decision actually has already been made.
Yeah,
with some processes, right?
By a computer inside my head.
You have to bear in mind that we have a filtration system of the 5 senses, and you know, if you take raw reality, we've got 400 billion bits of information reaching us at any given moment, and we filter that down to about 2,000 bits of information.
Yeah, basically.
So we're limited from the outset.
Yeah.
Well, we're limited now, but once we start implanting machine technology into our brains and we get a better file system,
that's actually one way how they think we could control AI, by implanting AI in our heads, or at least control chips for AI that will be in data centers. Basically, we will become a part of that AI, and that AI will basically be part of us. So we will control the AI, how it is working, and basically protect world from getting problems with AI, because it will be part of us.
Derek, do you think ButterFS would be up to the challenge, or?
No, at that point, we will need something a hell of a lot better, a hell of a lot. Even the size of the files will have to get a huge upgrade, because probably when AI will be around, exabytes will be nothing for it.
There's a file system called IPFS, Interplanetary File System, modestly named. If you go to their website, it's a replacement for HTTP using file sharing. But they got embarrassed, so nowhere on their site do they use the word IPFS. They used to use it, but now it's just IPFS. But I think that could be a thing. Could have IPFS and IPOS interplanetary operating system, and take it from there.
Well, I mean, then there's always OSPF, but that's dealing with routing protocols. So.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to have better file systems for all this data, and we're going to have better storage devices too to hold all this data. We're talking about just gigantic amounts of
spinning Rust. Will have to say goodbye. That's first.
Well, I said goodbye a couple of years ago, to be fair. It's only the storage of spinning Rust that's keeping it around.
In massive storage, spinning Rust is basically king. But for AI to actually be able to do thinking at the level it will be doing, at least we hope it will one day do, we will need something a lot better than current level SSDs. Even
our standard flash drive storage is not going to work either. We're going to have to come up with something better.
Even NVMe SSDs are too slow. Current RAM drive speeds, but being able to keep data. That's what we're looking for.
This Opteron looks pretty good as an intermediate storage between RAM and SSD.
Intel Optane. Yeah, but sizes. Size. We will need size increase of 1,000, if not billion times to actually be useful in that aspect.
No, but I mean, in the near future, this Optane looks pretty good.
Not so distant future, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
in the chat, just quickly, we got a Linux support question. How do you change the volume with Pulse Audio from the command line?
Also mixer.
Some TUI program.
Just if he has to do from the command line, I'm assuming there's no GUI available, so Pulse Audio volume control is not available to you. Also mixer would work if you just need to adjust your main volume.
PI control as well.
Yeah.
Is in there.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just going to check that.
Of course, if you're in a shell, why would you, I don't know, maybe you're listening to music in the shell. It's an interesting question. I've never thought about that. How would I adjust volume if the command line was the only thing I had?
Maybe
PICTL and just do WSL, but it will bring up a list of all the kinds of stuff you can do in there.
Maybe he has what is it called MPC server, and he has to adjust.
He's listening to music
because it has maybe a couple of devices which all connect through Pulse Audio.
Yeah, Pulse Audio sits on top of AUSA. You can just use AUSA mixer and on the remote machine.
AUSA mixer works. Also, a couple of weeks ago, I took a look at Ncurse's program called NCPA Mixer, which is Ncurse's Pulse Audio Mixer. That's also easy to just adjust the volume. So
I'm gonna have to have a look at that.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're logging into a machine remotely or something and controlling the volume, I suppose.
Yeah,
I guess so.
SSH. Maybe he's SSHing into the machine.
That could be.
Yeah,
maybe he's connecting to a media server or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
I know with Piano Bar, which is something that you turned me on to a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Piano Bar. Yep.
That has its own volume control in it.
Mm-hmm.
But, how to do it like from a mixer? I don't know if there's got to be some kind of command line interface to it. I would think to like Pulse Audio.
You're trying to adjust the volume while listening to Piano Bar? Is that what the?
Well, when I run Piano Bar, I mean I can adjust the volume using the left and right parentheses.
Right.
But I mean that's the app itself that's controlling, sending the signal to Pulse Audio to raise and lower. It's not necessarily something that I can control from the command line, because as soon as I get out Piano Bar, I'm back at the command line. I don't have those functions. So.
Right. Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
come across, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Murray.
I've come across a few command line terminal applications that might be interesting. If you do a man command, you never get any examples. And there's a program called TLDR, which will give you the examples. It's beautiful. I wish I had that years ago. You get it by installing through npm install-g TLDR, and then you just do tdlr, whatever command you want, ls or ps or whatever it is. And it'll give you about 6 examples in one line description for each of the examples. It's really quite good and priceless for me. Another one is called ps_mem, which gives you memory usage. But this one's by application. Most of them are by process. So you could use this to compare, say, Firefox with one tab open to Vivaldi with one tab open. And it's in the form of suckless. It's very nicely printed. It does one thing. And we do that through Python pip install ps_mem on that. And the third and last one was Arch-audit for people using Arch. And it will give you a list of programs that have issues, known issues. And it'll tell you, like, one of them, System D has an intermediate issue. Pyro has a critical issue. I don't know what you can do with it once you found it, but it gives you a CEV to look up to do that. So those are the 3 things I came across.
Yeah, good stuff.
DT, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Since you use Manjaro, how many packages is too many packages?
Well, let's see what is installed on my machine here, because I'm actually not sure.
Because I currently have 1,332 packages.
I have 1,436 packages installed through Pac-Man. I have 8 flat packs and 4 snaps also installed. So
I have
1,400. Yeah, and that's with i3 that I'm in today, Qtile, which I lived in. Xmonad is also on the system. I think I also installed OpenBox on there. I've got 4 window managers on here. But, you know, all those are really, really light. Xmonad is the difference for me, though, because that brings in a ton of stuff, because the Haskell programming language and the compiler. So without Xmonad on the system, I'd probably be about where you're at, 1,300.
Weirdly, I have a very little number of packages since I have, like, I believe 6 Ds installed.
Yeah.
I have GNOME, KD, LXQT, Mate, Cinnamon, Budgie, and OpenBox.
What login manager do you use?
LiDM.
And you can switch between them?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I've been really impressed with LiDM.
LiDM is awesome.
Yeah.
Really love the way they have the greeters system. So I use I believe it's Mate greeter, the slick greeter. I believe it's
the slick greeter is really nice.
Or Mint, I don't know which ones. I don't remember right now off the top of my head, but I use that one to have like a nice one, and you can right where is the username, you have like a little circle, and you click on that and you can choose whatever session you want.
Right.
Or in GTK greeter, you have in a upper right corner first thing, I believe it is. It says what session you have, or like it's, I believe, a piece of paper, like type of thing, and you click on it, it will show you all the sessions.
Well, even with GDM, I mean, it's got that little gear right down by.
Yeah, even GDM is quite nice for multiple session system.
Occasionally, I will install. Like a lightweight window manager or something that doesn't create its own like desktop session file. So you go to LightDM and there's not a login option for that particular window manager. So sometimes you have to create that thing manually, but that's kind of rare. And it's usually like really obscure stuff that does that. Nothing like i3 or Awesome or anything.
But what was funny is I put XSDF or DE, XF DE on the system after having installed GNOME, and GNOME was just going crazy. And so I said, okay, I got to reduce the resources going on here. So, but the trouble is, I could not. I expired my password.
Mhm.
It would still let me log on with my old password and not wouldn't give me an option to change it. I don't know what greeter it was using. I don't know, but I didn't like the way it handled, and that's when I started using LightDM and the Cinnamon desktop. I'm really liking it. So
One thing I like about LightDM is, okay, that's probably what, like all of them, how it creates you all the different options you would want. For example, I know I installed KDE and I got OpenBox, KDE with OpenBox, KDE basic, normal,
Yeah,
basic with
GDM
Plasma.
does the same.
And I installed GDM just once when I had only GNOME, so
well, on this computer, what I've done is, because my users have been complaining that, oh, it's too complex. We don't want Linux on here. We want Windows. And I'm like, no, you don't want Windows because we don't have the hardware, nor do we have the expense. You know, we don't have the ability to pay for the licensing and stuff like that. So what I did is I found out what they're saying is too complex is that they have to put a password in there. We're not in a huge security environment, so I found out how with LightDM to create an auto logon. And
yeah,
and I have that timed out for 30 seconds, and I still have my. If someone wants to log on with their username, they can. They have 30 seconds to select their username and type in the password. So other than that, and then the auto logon is a very restricted account. You know, it basically gets to you know, LibreOffice, Firefox, and stuff like that. So
everywhere where I am, I enforce a login policy within Windows. You have to log in. No, I don't allow in any way auto login, because
I normally
that's
don't
just
either.
asking for trouble.
But I was going to have a revolt. I was going to have people that were going to do whatever they wanted to do and start bringing in their own computers and stuff like that. And it got to be a big mess. And we're in an environment where I don't need to have them logged on individually, at least not yet, not until I get the servers up and running. When I get the logon servers up and running, get the mail servers running, then that'll be a different story.
I know I was working somewhere part-time, and they had one account for a whole office. I said no. I went to the IT department and just said I want a different login. They looked at me like, am I crazy? Said no, I want a different login. So with security reasons, I don't need I do different work than all the other office. So I want account that I can use for myself, have data so no one actually can look through what I done if they are not actually able to do that, like my boss. And they were like, okay, someone knows what's doing. In 3 days, I got a little paper on my desk that I got moved to IT department.
Mm-hmm.
Someone actually looked at what I went to school, and they just moved me to IT department.
We're all volunteers here. We don't have any employees, and so the way our director works it is, if it's not being useful, if no one's using it, get rid of it. And and it's just going against my philosophy and my goals of getting the IT up and running in this facility. And so I'm making this concession with the auto logon, and I haven't really had any complaints about it. And I'm keeping, like I said, it's a very restricted account. But I haven't had a real huge problem with it yet. So.
While we're on the topic here of, I guess we're talking security, about a week ago I made a video about that terminal emulator, eDex. It's an Electron-based app. It's one of these fancy apps that looks very hackerish. And it displays your public IP right there in the terminal. So, and of course, I included all that in the video. And I got a lot of people like, dude, you should have blurred that out, or you should take the video down, and like, it's a public IP. It's not sensitive information. They're like, yeah, but a hacker needs that to hack your system. It's like, you know what? My public physical address, like my address here where I'm at, somebody would need that to rob me, right? I mean, how else would they get to my house? But that doesn't mean they can actually pull it off and do it. So I was surprised that so many people really thought like I violated some law or something. You can never share your IP.
Has no one ever heard of dynamic IP assignment by ISP?
Which one? I'm sorry.
Basically, many ISPs currently do dynamic IP assignment.
Dynamic, okay.
Yeah, and that's why I don't really care whose is my IP. If I make a mistake and show it, I can just pull my router out of the wall, wait 10 seconds, plug it in, and I have a new IP.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. I did not tell any of the people that messaged me about this, but that IP that was on screen was not actually my real IP. I didn't respond to these people because I don't want to give them that any information. But if you actually looked at my location from that IP, you guys know I'm in Louisiana, right? That IP address was somewhere in Mississippi.
It actually that's actually really the positioning of the even my IP that's actually mine. Currently set to me will show the city that's like 100 kilometers away from me, and that's in my country. That's a lot. That's the other side of the country.
Yeah,
my country is like from one point to another diagonally. Largest way is 400 kilometers.
And then the other thing is that I have network address translations going on. So, I mean, any IP that shows up on the desktop is going to be
internal
private
IPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the chat.
How it gets the IP. I can get IP even in any internal network. I can get public network, public IP really quickly without any kind of problem. Since
in the chat, Ghost Mirror is asking, can you locate someone using their IP? You can kind of tell where they're at in the world. Yeah. I mean, it's not
probably like to country, but that's basically how much even ISPs allow their data to go out, because
you can't get a real address, right?
Right.
Here I know ISP has all of them connected, pointed to that specific location. All the IPs from first one to last one to that specific location in my country. So because
if you ping the IP that my public IP that's going on here, it'll show that I'm in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is probably about 50 miles south of where I am. So
yeah,
well, that's actually closer than I thought it would. I mean, that's pretty accurate, 15 miles away. But yeah, nobody's going to find your house from an IP address, right? Nobody's going to. I know the neighborhood.
With something like trace route, IP trace route, where it goes through every server, and it can pinpoint you to the closest servers you have around you that connects to closest routers. That would be that would be to actually detect the actual city nearby, but then you're still in the whole where
radius of,
but that's the closest you could get with like normal stuff. Governments can do direct locations, but they have some government level software that we don't possess.
And, you know, I appreciate the fact that a few people did message me about that public IP, because these people were genuinely concerned. I appreciate that. I mean, they think people are just going to bang away at this IP address and, you know, hack my machine or something. We're probably good. Again, that IP wasn't really my IP, even if it was. got a firewall. I mean, somebody would have to, get around a few levels of security to get in my machine.
Probably worst thing they could do to you is they could DDoS your connection.
DDoS, that's all. And I'm not. I'm not that important. This machine has nothing on it. I mean, it's not.
It isn't actually the problem with the machine. The problem is that they would fill your network so you couldn't actually download or upload anything.
Right. Yeah,
but
just be,
that's easily fixable.
Yeah.
If it's nothing else, you can just request another IP from your ISP and they can change your IP.
Yeah, we just have a denial of service, but other than that, we'd be back up and running. So.
Really big router job done.
Yeah, I mean that could happen even if they didn't have.
At worst, they could.
People are hacking
destroy
IPs all the time.
router.
So.
Yeah, you just put basically you take 2,000 IPs and go. You have a bot farm. That's it. That's actually how one of the crypto viruses, the big one, was called WannaCry. That's how it was doing stuff. Basically, it had it spread to about 100 computers through USBs and emails. Then when it started actually running, basically it just targeted random IPs trying to hack them. And if it had a specific vulnerability in SMB 1.0, that's like an old vulnerability of SMB. And if it had that vulnerability, that means it had to be Windows XP or Vista 7. Yeah, Vista 7. And if it got that vulnerability, it would get inside the network. But otherwise, it didn't even get inside the network. Basically, just trying every IP possible.
Yeah. And in the chat, people were asking, if anybody wants all my files, you don't have to hack into my machine. I put my GitLab page up there, so all the important stuff is in that repo.
There you go.
And all the other important stuff is already on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Matter of fact, I should make sure my firewall is up and running right now, because I know some of the Kali Linux guys right now are, they're ready to get in here.
That's it. Well, and that going a little bit further with that is the fact that one of the things about Linux that I really like is that there is less of a threat of the nasty stuff that you see on Windows, and it's also because we're such a small portion of the user community. But that doesn't mean you can't just go in blindly. You got to be aware of where you're going and what's coming in on your machine. And
attacks that are targeted at Linux are most of the time nowadays specific targets, like specific set of servers and specific companies, and they are specifically made for those servers. And even if they tried, they couldn't attack your system because they're so specialized.
Well, and SE, as much as I bemoan SE sometimes because of all the errors it pops up, and it's not actually errors, it's just it doesn't know what to do with this request, and so it says, hey, I got a request here, what do you want to do with it? And it's usually okay. But I mean, SE really helps in the fact that it will let me know when there's something going wrong, and you got to take a look at this. So. Secured environment is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Different topic if you want, just short and sweet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Some people were having trouble with their IC dock over at Big Daddy. They had to use pliers to get the SSDs out.
Yes, I've had to do that too.
Yeah, I've got I don't need 4 or 6 drives. I've used something called Glow Trends. You get a two bay system for $25 US, and I've been using it about 2.5 months, and it's never got stuck yet. Doesn't have an on-off, but it does have a light to do it.
For SSDs, I have it's a jank way of doing it, but cables. I have basically, I had 3 cables running out of my system, 3 power cables and 3 SATA cables, because SSD is no moving parts. It can dangle off of the desk for all I care.
I don't know about the 2-bay IC dock or the 4-bay IC dock. I have a 6-bay, and those things are tight. Some of them I can get out by hand, but some of them are so tight that I feel like I would break the IC dock if I really tried to just man up on it and force it out.
It's probably depending on the height of the drive.
Yeah, I can actually remove the whole bay, the whole dock, and then I can get the drives out a little easier. But I'm normally not removing the drives anyway, so it's pretty rare for me to want to swap drives. So
anyway, glow trains from Amazon for $25 if 2 will do you.
Mhm.
And also, Firefox has only got 9% share. Doesn't seem to get any better. It gets better itself, but it doesn't get much in the recognition in the marketplace, does it?
yeah, Firefox is having some issues.
Chrome and Chromium and Chrome, like Chrome that use Chrome as base, those are quite big nowadays, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and now that
Firefox
Microsoft
is so much
switching,
better.
Microsoft is switching to a Chrome-based browser, or
they're actually not switching to Chrome-based browser, just the engine of Chrome.
the engine. Yeah,
I believe it's called WebKit or something like that. They're switching to that. They won't use, but everything else will be based in their own code. Basically, they just swap the Edge engine for WebKit.
yeah. I really wish. I wish Microsoft would have done something with Firefox, with the Mozilla guys, and said, "Hey guys, I'm sorry about that whole Netscape thing back in the '90s."
I mean, other than Firefox, Chrome, and Edge really isn't going anywhere. Thank God. What is there? I mean, there's Opera, but I mean, I haven't
There's
seen
a million.
Opera.
There's a lot of browsers, but as far as good ones, the good ones are Chrome and Firefox. I mean, that's
Yeah.
That's
Or
what
no,
we-
It's almost based off of that anyway. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
Everything is
saying. I was going to say the same
basically
thing, or they're either Chrome-based or Mozilla-based anyway.
Right.
But then the lone horseman of Edge.
I will say a good alternative that's really solid. I actually have it on my machine. It's not free and open source, but it does work. Vivaldi's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Vivaldi is Chrome-based.
Yeah, WebKit.
And if you want to know, Edge is actually for basic browsing is quite okay, and actually quite fast and responsive. Only it's Windows based, so that's a huge negative for it.
I keep Vivaldi on my system mainly just to join Google Hangouts. Occasionally on some other people's streams I join, they'll do a Hangout, and Hangouts is not great in Firefox, so it doesn't tend to work. Vivaldi Hangouts works just fine. I know it's not free software, but then again, I'm joining a Hangout, so I mean,
that's not.
Right.
I have Chromium on my system.
Yeah,
Basically the backup.
That, but.
Yeah.
And then there's always, links or W3M or something like that.
Yeah, if you just need
get
tips, yeah.
yeah, but that I
Pictures
like that, except for when I want to do some streaming or something like that, and there.
I'm glad Dan mentioned links and W3M, because I showed those on a live stream the other night, and Big Pod was, I guess, just repelled by the sight of these plain text browsers. He said links was the ugliest thing he had ever seen, right? So
I have problem with that. Why the hell then do people even want to do this web design, all that, if you're just gonna watch in a text-based format? And even then,
because when you get away,
when I'm working as root, and I need to pull something down off the web that I don't have an FTP access for, you do it. Even wget. I mean, let's say like I want to pull down the distro of Fedora 29. I can do that through links in a matter of seconds. You know, whereas
What if
WAF,
you-
then I have to remember all the addresses and everything.
What if you're doing a server install, a minimal server install of AEYZ distro, whatever, and you don't have a GUI? All you have is the TTY prompts. So you just switch.
After I install a server and it is allowed to connect, I stash that server into its slot and don't connect the display to it, except if I really need to. Their SSH exists for a reason.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could forward the, the X.
Oh, you have SSH.
With SSH, but I mean, you're right. I mean,
On a server, normally you won't even have a GUI or X server
Right.
even installed. So SSH is basically what you need, and then you can have Firefox open and everything like that. And that's how I do things. Even sometimes when I'm doing installs on a normal distro and I have some, and I just, if I'm just installing packages, I will go from.
Yeah, I'm running
SSH.
some pretty old Cisco hardware in here that I'm only doing 100 base T on it, and so trying to do all the SSH and graphics links over the
No need for graphics links, just SSH. You're in the
well,
machine.
still, I mean, SSH is a very chatty protocol, and
It is.
so when I don't have to use SSH, I don't use SSH. I mean, I love using it. I can remote to all my computers in the museum and do individual maintenance and stuff like that and fix individual problems. But as a standard connection to the server, I'd rather just walk over to the server and use.
I mean, what if you're doing like an Arch install or a Gentoo install and you forget exactly what you're doing on a particular step? What do? You just switch over to, TTY2 or whatever.
That's why I have a phone nearby.
You just pull up links and go straight to the Arch installation guide, right? And you can read it right there. No need to fool with SSH. No need to install anything else. Links is probably already on the system too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why the text-based systems. I mean, look at the IBM mainframes. So they're still text-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I know for a fact that Links LINKS is on the Gentoo ISOs out of the box. I think LYNX is also there. I think they have both of them. The Arch ISO has one or the other on it. So there's already a text-based browser already there. You don't have to worry about installing extra packages. It's there for that reason.
Yeah, and like even right now, terminal window
especially on servers, I don't touch X or anything like that. I just SSH into it, and I don't really have any problems.
I've got a bunch of stuff running here. I mean, I've got Zoom and I've got a bunch of other stuff running here. So to not hog down a whole bunch of other resources, I've got a terminal window open with W3M.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've got links running on mine.
Yeah, so I can do stuff.
I just don't care about resources because I have so many.
It was funny because I was doing that live stream and I was showing Link's browser and I said, look at this. This is just beautiful, beautiful, glorious text. And I look at the chat and Big Pod said, ugh. This is just horrible. Yeah, I can't stand it.
90% of what you're looking at is all text. Why not?
Absolutely.
I was like, it's just words. How is it not?
Even Firefox has a text only mode.
Yeah, and even with that, when you're doing a search, use the aggregate search engines like Dogpile or WebCrawler. I mean, they work great in text.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Google works even well in text, to be fair.
Yeah, there's Googler.
Yeah, it pops up a lot of extraneous text, though.
That's true. It's true. It does.
I guess half the time, which is the proper link, or which is the ad link. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's 50-50 chance there.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to say before I forget, Dan, you changed your name. You don't have your call sign on there. I feel all alone now.
I can probably put it on there. I don't know if I had it on there before.
Yeah, you used to have your call sign as your name on at least on the local windows here.
Oh, okay. I don't know when I changed it.
That
Well,
brings
we've got
that to
a
a complete halt.
we've got about 10 minutes till noon, and I do need to kind of get going today. I've got some other things I've got to take care of. So let's go ahead and get everybody a last word. Everybody wants to take a minute or so. Give us a last word. What you got for us, Allie? Allie
What
disappeared.
we've got for us, sir. It's been great being here. We had some decent discussions about various topics. I've really enjoyed today. Thank you for having me.
I never expected.
Again, mate.
Yeah, I never expected that hour-long discussion on AI. That was great.
That was different.
That was one of the
That was
most
different.
interesting discussions we've ever had, though. You're right. That was
Absolutely. But we did have some excellent discussion. Just like my comes off.
Yeah.
Anyway, for those in the chat that I haven't wished before, Happy New Year to you all.
Yeah.
Hope you have a wonderful 2019. And it's over to the next person on the list.
All right. Thank you, Allie. Murray, give us the last word, sir.
Well, thank you. It's the first time I've been here for the full 2 hours and I enjoyed it. That was a pleasant experience. And I look forward to doing it again with you guys.
All right. Big Pod, I know you got something for us. Any new content you want to share? I know you
No
made
new content.
Yeah, I saw all the Manjaro installs. You're really digging Manjaro, so.
Yeah, Manjaro. I am in love with Manjaro. But otherwise, thank you for having us, DT. Time flies in this chat room.
Yeah, especially the topics today. We got carried away a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
All right.
Otherwise, to all guys, Happy New Year, and we'll probably see you next week.
Okay.
What I think, DT, will happen.
Yeah. Dan, give us the last one.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Thanks for the patron chat, and it's been fun. It's good stuff, and look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah, these are always the highlights of my day on Sunday. These chats, so
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Chris, give us the last word, sir.
Well, now that I'm not driving and risking my life chatting at the same time, I really didn't expect to have that lengthy discussion on AI, but it's something I've always been wanting to talk about a little. And I'd like to continue that on a forum somewhere.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I would like to.
There's a lot of morality and stuff like that that has to be considered. But thank you for doing this. I know you said that you didn't know if you're going to continue doing these on a regular basis, just because of the amount of work you have to do at the beginning.
I know for sure next Sunday I am not working, and I should be here. So we will have one next Sunday, Big Pod. So I expect to see you.
And so if it's in the morning, more than likely I'll be able to.
It will be.
Do it. If it's in the evening, it's 50-50 chance. Depends on if my friends back out of the gaming night that we do and stuff like that.
No, it should be at the same time next week. So.
Okay. I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And like you, I've got to do some more research as far as some of this AI stuff, especially the sci-fi nature, some of these crazy ethical questions. It is interesting. It's a fascinating topic. So. Silent Robot, give us the last word.
Well, I kind of came in late for this one. I was just finishing off a live stream myself. A bit annoyed I missed the AI conversation. Something I would have liked to have joined in.
I'm sure there'll be more.
But thank you for the Patreon chat. It's well appreciated. Always enjoyable. Great bunch of people. Yeah. And Happy New Year to everybody. And best wishes for the coming year.
Happy New Year, bud.
All right, I appreciate that. Rob, give us the last word, sir.
Yeah, I came in a little bit late too, DT, but I was going to talk to you about Qtile. I'm running it right now. I pulled your config down from your GitLab and modified it up some, and well, I'm still playing with it. I don't know that it's going to pull me from despawn, but I'll give it a shot for a while.
Yeah. What kind of questions did you have?
Well, the main thing was the floating. When you float a window, you can't seem to move it unless you're using the mouse. And I was just wondering if you dealt with that, and if there was some keys that you knew of.
I'm sure there's a way to move it with the keyboard. I've never actually bothered to look into that because I normally, when I'm doing floating window mode, normally I don't even move the windows, or usually if I'm resizing them with the mouse anyway. So I actually haven't looked into that. I'm sure Qtile probably has that functionality. I'll look into it after the stream and see if I can find the command to add to the config
Yeah,
file.
that's going to be my project for a little later. I figure I'll get
I'm
on
sure
there.
it has it though. I would think.
Get into their documentation. I changed a bunch of your keys and of course just the overall layouts. I changed a bunch of those, and it's easy working in Python, but it's trying to figure out what their documentation is good, but it's not great. It's better than BSPWNs, but it's still not great to figure out what does what. But I'll dig into the code.
Yeah, the best documentation. Yeah, the best documentation for Qtile is actually just reading through the Python files themselves. The actual files. Like if you have a question, like on a particular layout, just find the wherever it's at in the Python folder. just pull up that file and open it up and see what kind of functions are in it. So
yeah, that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. But anyhow, good morning everyone, and thanks for the chat, DT.
All right, thank y'all. And of course, before I go, I'm going to thank all these patrons on the screen here. These names, of course, I want to thank these guys here too: Allie, Murray, Big Pod, Dan, Chris, Silent Robot, and Rob. Thanks for hanging out with me once again on a Sunday morning. Hope you guys have a great day. I know some of you got to go to work. So, peace, guys.
Peace.
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 Peace. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.